I'm Martin Evening, and in this Lightroom video tutorial I'm going to show you how to work with the filter tools in Lightroom. In particular, in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to work with the graduated filter tool, although what I'm showing you here also applies to working with the radial filter as well. But in particular I want to show you the new ability to be able to edit a graduated filter mask using the new brush tools. So to start off with, if I select the graduated filter tool, you can see that we have the options here to select. So for example here, I've selected exposure. This is a darkening adjustment, but I can change that to make that a lightening adjustment, and then apply a simple graduated filter to the bottom of this image just to lighten the foreground. And now if I want to darken the sky, I can apply another adjustment, this time from the top downwards, and then select a negative exposure setting so that I'm darkening down the sky. But in doing so, you'll notice that it's also darkened the top of this pagoda. So if I choose to go to the brush options here, this reveals the brush setting controls that we have down here at the bottom. And now if I was to use either the mouse, or better still use a Wacom tablet or something similar, I can then edit the mask. To make it easier to be able to see what I'm doing, if I check this button at the bottom in the toolbar, you can see an overlay that shows you what the mask is looking like. And if I zoom in here on the image so I can get in really nice and close, I can then much more easily see what's going on as I choose to erase. So if I select the erase option and have the auto mask option selected, if I click on the pagoda itself, I can start to erase this area of the image. And because I've got the auto option selected, it's auto selecting based on the color where I first clicked. So I can keep on dragging around here to include all the areas that I need to include into this selection. So that now shows the stage that I've got to at the moment using the tool to erase, but you can see that I made some mistakes there. So if I switch back to regular mode and make the cursor smaller, with auto mask still selected, I can try and correct those by editing the mask and painting it back again. So you can see now at this stage that we got to here, I've managed to mask out most of the pagoda. I can still see that it's actually affecting the tops of the trees. So if I switch back to the erase mode, I can then try and deal with those areas as well. And at this stage you can see that I've pretty much edited most of the mask. If I switch off the overlay so that we can hide the effect that that's having, and then just move the cursor over here so that we don't see the lines for the graduated filter, you can see now that it's actually done a pretty good job of allowing me to darken the sky. Maybe that's a little bit too dark, I'll just lighten off a little bit more there, but exclude the areas that I've selected using the brush. Now the other thing to mention is that you can still edit the graduated filter independently of the mask itself. So if I choose to edit the options here, I can, for example, drag on one of these handles here to increase the softness of the graduated filter effect, and you can see that it hasn't affected the mask. If I check this show overlay mask, you can see that that's still remained intact. And then similarly, if I was to narrow it down to be able to narrow the effect, that doesn't have any effect either. So you retain two controls now over the mask. You've got the regular graduated filter adjustment options, dragging on these handles here or rotating, whatever you want to do there. And then also independently, by switching to the brush edit mode, you can edit the mask. And as I showed earlier on, it helps if you check this button down at the bottom to show the selected mask overlay. So there you have it, a really useful addition, I think you'll find, to working with the graduated filter tool. And this doesn't just apply to this particular tool, but also to working with the radial filter adjustments as well.